Hello friends, welcome to Technique. This is Nirmal here, and in this video we'll be doing a first impression or other hands-on with the iPhone 14 Pro. So we have the iPhone 14 Pro with us. This was announced a few days back, and this is launched or rather available starting today in India. And there are 4 variants this time around as well. But there is a change with the variants. We have the iPhone 14, iPhone 14 Plus, then we have the iPhone 14 Pro and the Pro Max. So this time around we don't have the iPhone mini series. So mini has been removed from the lineup, probably because of the lack of sales for mini. That was probably one of the reasons. So we have an iPhone Plus variant which is slightly larger in display compared to the iPhone 14. Now the Pro variant comes with 2 interesting features. One is the new 48 megapixel f1.8 aperture camera. That's a new upgraded camera compared to the 12 megapixel we had on the iPhone 13 Pro and the Pro Max. Now other than that, there is also a change in the notch. Now we have a dynamic notch or rather dynamic island in the notch. We'll talk about that in a while. So we have a capsule like notch which includes the camera, but on the iPhone 14 and the 14 Plus we have the regular notch. So these are a couple of interesting aspects. Apart from that, you also get the always on display on the iPhone 14 Pro. So that's one of the new changes with this device. So let's see what all it brings with the new series. So before getting started, if this is your first time on this channel, do hit that red subscribe button and also hit the bell icon to get notified of all the videos we publish. So let's begin. So this is the iPhone 14 Pro. We have the deep purple variant with us. Now the deep purple is the flagship color for this year. You can see here it's a dark color, and we have the triple camera setup. This is the new 48 megapixel triple camera. The rest 2 cameras are remaining the same, the 12 megapixel. There has been a massive improvement in terms of camera as per Apple. We have to test to see how the changes are. Now here you can see that the camera projection is slightly bigger than the previous iPhone 13 Pro. So that's one of the changes. Apart from that, you can see that the triple camera setup, LED flash, the sensors, Apple logo. Here we have the glass finishing. This is the aluminum chassis with the color same as that of the back panel. We have the power button here. The top does not have any openings. Here we have the slider, then the volume keys and the SIM tray. Now certain countries do not have the SIM tray. The physical SIM tray is missing. Instead there is only eSIM, especially US. And here we have the lightning port and the speaker unit. The front panel has this capsule kind of notch where we have the 12 megapixel camera, and then we have the lock screen. So there are some changes here. This is one area where it has been changed. We have the dynamic island feature included, so we'll talk about that. So overall, in terms of in-hand feel, this looks good. It is definitely heavy because it is around 200 grams in weight. So that's not a very lightweight device, even though it's just 6.1 inches display. It is definitely heavy, and you can feel that heaviness when you use the device. But that's one of the reasons I opted for the iPhone 14 Pro. The Pro Max is a bit more heavy and thicker, and also it is larger screen, so that is not very suitable for my hands. So that's why I opted for a smaller 6.1 inches iPhone 14 Pro. Now let's talk about the other aspect. The build quality is superb as usual. We don't have to talk about that. Excellent build quality. Now the flagship color, a lot of you have liked the color. Some of you said that the color is not that great, especially it's too dark. It's kind of a color which only shows up only when there is bright sunlight. If you are in indoor condition, it mostly shows up as a gray color, not as a purple. So that's one thing which needs to be understood before buying this device. Other colors are gold is there, then white is there, black is also there. So these are the other colors. But among all the colors, I personally like the deep purple. That's why I opted for this. So that's the design and build quality. Now next, let's talk about the display aspect of the iPhone 14 Pro. So you can see that this device comes with a 6.1 inches LTPO display, and you get the top of the line hardware on this display, and this is coming with the usual iPhone Super Retina XDR OLED display and 120 Hz refresh rate, HDR10 plus Dolby Vision support. Then you get typical brightness of around 100 or rather 1000 nits and a peak brightness of around 2000 nits. That's something which is really great. Then you get this 1179 by 2556 pixels. That's the screen resolution, and this is scratch resistant ceramic glass and oleophobic coating on top, and you get this new feature of always on display. So let's talk about that here. So I'm just turning off the screen. You can see that now always on display is in action. You can see that the background, everything is dim, and only the clock and widgets are not dim. So now if I press here, you can see that now it is back to normal. So this is how the lock screen, or rather the always on display, works. Now I'll just unlock the device and I'll show you the option. So just go to the display and brightness, and if you scroll down, you can see that the always on display, this is the option. So just turn on this option. If you want, if you feel that this is draining a lot of battery, then you can turn this off. This is the always on display option. That's one of the new changes. Then other than that, we have the iOS 16. So this is the new version, and let's just go to general, about phone. You can see iOS 16, and here we have the 256GB variant. We also get in 128, 512 and 1TB variant, and rest all features are there. You have this new iOS 16 features here. Now one of the new features is the dynamic island. So here this notch is converted into a dynamic island. I will just show you here. So let's start the timer here. I will just show this timer, and I started the timer. I just minimize this home screen, and you can see that this is how the dynamic island works. You can see here timer is running. So I just press and hold. You can see the timer. You can just pause the timer, close the timer, start the timer, and just swipe up, it will go. Now if I play any music here, I'll just play some music here. So I'm just playing the music, and then I'm going minimizing here. Now you can see here two dynamic islands. One is the timer, and the other one is the music playback. If you just press and hold this, again you can see here the controls, and just swipe and it will go. That's how it works. So this is the new dynamic island. You can see this in action. So there are a lot of notification, like for example, if there is a low battery, also it shows up in the dynamic island. So the implementation is nice, but then it's only limited to the stock apps. More and more third-party applications need to enable the dynamic island. Then only you will get the best experience. Right now it's limited to the stock Android apps. So that's how the dynamic island works. So looks nice. Implementation is definitely good, but it needs a bit more fine-tuning with third-party apps coming in. So that is how the dynamic island works. Now next, let's talk about the camera. So we have an upgrade in the camera. Now we have the new 48 megapixel sensor, f1.8 aperture. You get 12 megapixel ultra wide, 12 megapixel telephoto, and we have this 0.5, 1x, 2x and 3x zoom here available. Then if you go to video recording, as usual, you get 4K 60 fps, and if you are going for HD, you get up to 120 fps is included. And then you can see here photo mode, portrait mode. Then the regular set of options are also included. Cinematic, slow motion is also included. The selfie camera is once again the 12 megapixel shooter. Now Apple claims that there has been definitely improvements with respect to the camera performance. So in our initial testing, we couldn't see much of a drastic difference between the 48 megapixel shooter and the 12 megapixel shooter on the iPhone 13 Pro. We'll be doing a comparison, so stay tuned for that. So as of now, what we felt was that the cameras are almost similar in most of the scenarios, but then we have to test it more to see how the performance is, but looks good actually. Once again, we have been seeing reports about poor dynamic range on the iPhone 14 Pro series, but we have to test it to see if that is there on the newer build, or rather it was there on the older build. So that we have to test it and see, but overall the camera feels definitely good, very similar to the iPhone 13 Pro. So let's have a look at some of the camera samples we have taken with this device. So these are the samples we have taken with the iPhone 14 Pro. Now iPhone 14 Pro comes with Apple's A16 Bionic chips. So Apple claims that this is an improvement over the A15, obvious reasons, and you get better GPU performance as well. Now this has 6GB RAM. The iPhone 14 Pro has 6GB RAM, and we get 512 GB storage or 1 TB storage, even 128 GB and 256GB is also included. So those are the storage variants available, and the performance is definitely good. As always, the Apple's A16 Bionic performs really well. We have to test it more to see how the performance is. So that's the performance side. Now let's talk about the batteries. Now we get the regular 3200 mAh capacity battery on the iPhone 14 Pro, and we get the same charging speed, around 18 watt is what Apple claims, with 50% charged up in 30 minutes of charging. That's the claim made by Apple. So more or less similar to the iPhone 13 Pro in terms of charging speed. So there was a talk about 30 watt charging, but then that has not made its way into the iPhone 14 Pro series. So let's hope that at least by next iteration we'll see some faster charging speeds. Now that's the battery. So we expect the battery life to be pretty good, but then again, the one important thing about this device is the always on display. If you keep on the always on display, we have to wait and see how much of battery drain that will cause. So that is something which we have to test it. So we'll let you know once we are done the testing. So that is our first impressions of the iPhone 14 Pro. Now if you are already using an iPhone 13 Pro, does it make sense to upgrade? Probably not. Only the dynamic island is something which is really that great. The 14 megapixel cameras are okay, but then nothing outstanding over the iPhone 13 Pro series. So if you are already using the iPhone 13 Pro, I would suggest not to upgrade at this time. But if you are using the iPhone 12 Pro, then probably this is a worthy upgrade, because 2 years we have seen a lot of changes, so that way the upgrade makes sense. So the iPhone the 14 series is available right now in India. All the 4 variants are available, so you can either go to the Apple's retailer or authorized retailer, or you can buy it from Apple website as well. So that was our experience and hands-on, and also the first impressions of the iPhone 14 Pro. Hope you enjoyed watching this video. Do hit that like button and also hit the subscribe button for more videos. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in our next video. Have a great day.